Shinnatang sakatha Krishna punna shravana kirtana hriddantasto abhadrani bidhunoti surhit satam. What is the benefit of listening to Krishna Katha? Shinnatang swakatha Krishna. It brings all auspiciousness. Punna shravana kirtana. And riddantastha abhadrani. Abhadra means impurities, contaminations. All the contaminations of riddantastha, of the heart, the contaminations that are there in the heart, bidhunoti, becomes cleansed. So that is the advantage of listening to Krishna Katha. Another description is Tava Kathamritam. Kathamritam, nectarian words of Krishna. And Prabhupada is pointing out that this Kathamritam are of two types. One is Katha that has been spoken by Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna spoke. And the other one is that has been spoken about Krishna. These are the two types of Krishna Katha. One is what Krishna spoke and what has been spoken about Krishna. And what does it do? Extinguishes the fire of material existence. In the material nature, we are constantly burning as if in a forest fire. As we sing every day, samsara dava nalalidha loka. This samsara means materialistic way of life. Another definition of samsara is the cycle of birth and death. This existence of this material nature is making us go in a cycle of birth and death. We are born, we live, we die. Then again we are born, we live for a while, die. It's going on in a cycle. And that is, what is that cycle of birth and death? What is the samsara chakra? The samsara chakra is like a davanal, forest fire. So we are burning in a forest fire. So that is tapta jivanam, burning. Tapta means hot. Burning hot. So we are constantly burning in this material nature. But Krishna Katha just extinguishes that forest fire of material existence. Immediately it is extinguished. And that song that we sing every day, Gurvashtakam, it makes it even more elaborate and more clear. How is that forest fire of material existence extinguished? Constant shower. Not of water, but of nectar. This Kathamritam is coming as a torrents of rain, of shower of nectar that extinguishes the suffering condition of this material existence. So that's why this arrangement that we hear about Krishna, speak about Krishna, and it benefits everyone. It benefits the speaker, it benefits the listener. And how does it benefit? Actually, if we go even deeper, then we will see what this absorption of Krishna consciousness does. Krishna consciousness. Our consciousness now, because of our conditioning, is trapped in this illusory energy of the Lord. And here we are trying to enjoy through sense gratification. Everyone tends to enjoy or try to enjoy in this material nature. That's the nature of this material nature. And it has also been explained why. Because the natural tendency of the superior to exploit the inferior. We, the jivatmas, the spirit souls, are superior in nature, and the material nature is inferior. Therefore, we have a natural tendency to enjoy or exploit this material nature. Everyone has that tendency. Exploit, the world of exploitation. That is what the material nature is. Prakriti sthani karshati. Is trying to cultivate this land, Prakriti, for the sake of sense gratification. We can't deny that we all had that tendency to enjoy, to try to enjoy. And not only we are trying to enjoy, we are actually mad. We are madly running after enjoyment. I mean, in a way we feel embarrassed when we think back how we are actually trying to enjoy. It's really embarrasses us that shamelessly we are trying to do so many things just for the sake of sense gratification. But then we come to Krishna consciousness and then we become aware of the reality. We are not actually meant for enjoyment here. We are not supposed to enjoy. We are supposed to provide for Krishna's enjoyment. And that is the real way to enjoy. You provide for Krishna's enjoyment, just like a king is throwing a party, and if people are providing for the party of the king, and then they attend party and enjoy with the king. So that's what Krishna consciousness is, the real way to enjoy. Like he has all the means to throw the most grand and gorgeous party. And we take part in that party and we enjoy. Nice food, nice atmosphere, nice association. And that's what Krishna consciousness is providing us. Everything is so wonderful. Like the devotee prasad is so amazing. Do you agree with me? I mean, I notice that devotees cooking and sometimes some non-devotees invite us, and I see that food is nothing compared to, although they are the richest people, have the best chef and things, vegetarian of course, but nothing compared to our devotees cooking. It's not the devotees cooking, it's the taste of Krishna prasad. The devotees cook with a certain spirit, certain consciousness, certain attitude. Then they offer to Krishna with all the love, and then it comes back to us. And what can be more relishable than food? The most wonderful aspect of enjoyment is actually food. And in Krishna consciousness, it is of the highest quality and in an endless abundance. Devotees don't suffer from, people in this world are suffering from malnutrition, starvation, and so forth. But in the world of devotees, there is no scarcity. There is abundance. Devotees don't suffer from malnutrition. Devotees suffer from overeating. And so that is the, as Krishna himself says, Krishna bada dayamay, koribare jiv bhajay. This material body is a network of nervous system. Network of a nervous system which is culminating into the senses. Sharir abidda jal, a network of ignorance. And jarendriya tahikal. The senses are the most formidable kal, most formidable trap. But in order to overcome that, Koriba, and out of all the senses, which one is most, what should I say? Which one is most prominent of all the senses? Tongue. Tar moddhe jiva hoti lobhomoy shudurmati. And take jeta kothino samsare. It's very difficult to conquer the tongue. And if the tongue is controlled, then everything will be controlled. But how to control the tongue? Krishna varadayamay koribare jiv bhajay shaprasad anna dilo bhai. Krishna has given his prasad. And that is the best way to overcome the tongue. And we have, along with prasad, we have another aspect of controlling the tongue, chanting the holy name of the Lord. These are the two functions of the tongue. Tongue wants to speak, and tongue wants to relish food. And for that we have two most powerful antidotes. Krishna Prasad and the holy name. So Krishna made these wonderful arrangements, and out of that we can see that our main entanglement in this material nature is not the gross body, but the subtle body. Gross body at some point will lose its ability. Like the gross body wants to be active, the gross body wants to enjoy, but the gross body eventually becomes old and infirm. And then the body cannot really function properly. This gross body. Naturally, it loses its ability to enjoy. But the mind, the subtle body, continues. The gross body may be old and dilapidated, but the subtle body still wants to enjoy. In our mind, all these contemplations are crowding the mind. Attraction for material enjoyment. Therefore, the way to overcome that is by this process of remembering Krishna, contemplating on Krishna's activities. That's the way to occupy the mind. When the mind is occupied with matter, then the mind will dwell in matter. But through this process of Krishna Katha, the mind is trained to dwell in Krishna. Man mana bhava. Therefore Krishna has given that instruction. Man mana bhava. With your mind you just think of me. And then what will happen? When we constantly think of Krishna with the mind, then Krishna gives us the spiritual intelligence, buddhi yoga. And in this way, by becoming engaged in serving Krishna, our subtle body becomes transformed. Subtle body doesn't die. The subtle body can only be transformed to spiritual identity. At the time of death, we leave the gross body. At the time of death, we leave the gross body, but the subtle body will remain. And the subtle body will carry us to the next destination. Are you all aware of it? This is a very important thing to understand. What will happen at the time of death? At the time of death, we will leave the gross body. But the subtle body will remain. The subtle body will carry the soul to the next destination. Next destination means according to the shape of the subtle body, we'll get a gross body. All our karmic reactions are there stored in the subtle body. All these karmic reactions not only are stored in the subtle body, they shape the subtle body. Just as sometimes we say that man is an angel, that man is like an angel. Why do we call somebody an angel? Because his activities are like that of an angel. And his activities like that of an angel gives his subtle body the shape of an angelic subtle body. And sometimes we say, oh, that man is a pig. And because his actions are like that of a pig. And his subtle body takes the shape of a pig. So the subtle body has taken the shape of a pig. So after he leaves the present gross body, then what happens? According to the shape of the subtle body, he is placed in the womb of a mother, an appropriate mother. The subtle body is placed in the person who lived the life of an angel. His subtle body has taken the shape of an angel and he is placed in an angelic womb. And one who has acted like a pig, he is placed in the womb of a pig. And then according to a subtle body, he gets a gross body. So this is how precise the actions of material nature is, Mother Nature. That is why it is so important to obsess our minds, constantly occupy our minds with the thoughts of Krishna, with our spiritual thoughts. And that way, it is very important to notice how the dreams are. What are the dreams? Did you ever consider what are the dreams? We have two bodies. How many of you know that we have two bodies? How many of you don't know? Okay. Many hands didn't go up, but they're lazy to lift it. When I ask how many don't know. How many of you want to know? Okay, I'm inspired. We have two bodies, two material bodies. One is a gross body made of 5 gross elements. What are the 5 gross elements? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. With these 5 elements, we have a gross body, this body. Your bodies. And there are 3 subtle elements: mind, intelligence, and false ego. And with these 3 elements, we have another body. We have another body made of mind, intelligence, and false ego. And when we are awake, then the gross body is active and the subtle body is active. Both these bodies are active. Isn't it? Don't you notice? Now, physically you're active and mentally you're active. In your mind you can think, with your intelligence you can decide, and so forth. And what to speak of your false ego? So, these subtle and gross, both the bodies are active when you're awake. When you fall asleep and dream, then your gross body is inactive. But when you're dreaming, your subtle body is active. And then there is a state of dreamless sleep. That is the state when both the gross and subtle bodies are inactive. Both are asleep. Now, dream is conducted in the platform of subtle body. So the way you dream, accordingly, you can determine the shape or state of your subtle body. If the subtle body is spiritually obsessed, then you'll have spiritual dreams. If the subtle body is materially obsessed, you'll have material dreams. You'll dream of all kinds of sense enjoyment and so forth. Or you can have nightmares like Kamsa was having. Kamsa was sleeping, but in his sleep, the whole night, what did he see? He was seeing all kinds of incredible, horrible things. He was seeing ghosts. He himself is a demon and still he was seeing the demons. And not only that, he saw, he is walking around without his head. So these are all the state of his subtle body. Therefore, it is so important to obsess our mind with the Krishna conscious thoughts. Man mana bhava. Think of Krishna. So fill your mind, fill your memory with all the thoughts in relation to Krishna consciousness. Then, in your dream also, you will think, you will see Krishna or Krishna conscious activities. And in this way, when the subtle body becomes spiritualized, then one becomes a pure spirit soul or a pure devotee. And then very easily he can go back to Godhead after one leaves his body. So this is why it's so important that we remember Krishna. Is this seminar helping you to remember Krishna? we like to think about things that are pleasing, that are exciting. We like to see movies. Why? They're exciting. Now, Krishna's activities are more exciting than millions of so-called movies. People are so fascinated by different types of movies. But you think of it, or drama, like, what is, movies are actually depicting drama, theaters are depicting dramas. What are the important features of the drama? The drama has a hero. And hero is a good guy. And he is endowed with all good qualities. And then there's a drama has a villain. And the villain and the hero conflicts. Right? And more the conflict, better the drama. That is one of the characteristics of drama. A good drama means there must be conflict. If there is no conflict, then it's no drama, it's a documentary. So, but when you see Krishna, in a drama, the three factors must be there. Hero, heroine, villain. Right? Now in Krishna's pastimes, we have these three features in the most perfect way. Krishna is the hero, Krishna's queens or Krishna's girlfriends are the heroines, and there is a villain, and they are demons. And then what happens? There is conflict. And there is lots of struggles and strifes. But then ultimately what happens in Krishna's pastimes? There may be a lot of strife in between, but at the end, Krishna wins. Or Ramchandra wins. Like the heroine goes through so many difficulties, but eventually Krishna wins. In Sanskrit drama, there is one universally accepted feature, that a drama never ends in a tragedy. Sanskrit drama never ends in a tragedy. Whereas on the other hand, you can see Greek drama, it's a Greek famous as Greek tragedy. Greek dramas are always ending in tragedy. And their whole life is tragedy. You see how Jesus Christ ended up in a tragedy. But in Sanskrit drama, there won't be any tragedy. There may be struggle, there may be tragic scenes, situations, like the Pandavas were in exile, Ramchandra went to the forest. There is this aspect is there, but the end always is in union or in victory. Like that's the difference between West and Vedic culture. Like as I was saying, it always ends in tragedy. You know how Sanskrit drama, how in reality Jesus Christ's life would end? Not in crucifixion. Jesus Christ's life would end in resurrection. But they can't understand that, the importance of resurrection. The real glory of God the Father is in resurrection of Jesus Christ, not crucifixion. And that's why Christianity became demented. because they didn't get the real understanding. I remember once I was talking to one of our congregation devotees, and his son, he was only 10 years old at that time. So we are discussing about Christianity and the flaws in Christianity. And this 10-year-old boy, he just pointed out that my father would save me if I am in difficulty. Then why didn't God the Father save Jesus Christ? I mean, I was quite shocked to hear. I was quite thrilled to hear that. Even a 10-year-old boy could figure out that if Jesus is the Son of God the Father, then why didn't God the Father save him? And that's the thing. In reality, he saved him. The glory of God the Father is not in crucifixion of Jesus Christ. The glory of God the Father is in resurrection of Jesus Christ. Jesus resurrected. And the story would continue after that. Jesus would say, I had enough of this place. I'll be happy to get the hell out of here. And Jesus leaves Jerusalem and goes to India to associate with the sadhus there, to his like-minded sort. So that is how, another thing that reminds me, you see how this, it's so ingrained in Indian culture or Indian, as I said, Sanskrit drama would never end in a tragedy. There is a famous dramatist in Germany his name was Bertolt Brecht. And Bertolt Brecht has a drama, very famous drama, called Threepenny Opera. Threepenny Opera. Anyone aware of that? Threepenny Opera of Bertolt Brecht. Okay, the end of the thing is the good guy gets hanged, and the drama ends there. Now there is a depiction of a staging of Bengali version, the Bengali staging of Threepenny Opera. And you know how that ended? That person is crucified, not crucified, hanged, and in a way the drama ends there. But then the director comes up and says that our drama didn't end here. And then Lord Shiva comes in. And he looks at that person who had been hanged, and he blesses, come back to life. And he blesses him because this person, and the point was that this person was very honest, very good. And as a result, it ends up him being hanged. So Lord Shiva then blesses him that he'll become the biggest crook. You will run your own mafiosi. You will have your own gang. You'll become very rich. You'll become a politician. And this is the blessings of Lord Shiva. So that is how that drama actually, the Bengali version of Threepenny Opera, the Bengali title of that thing was Tin Paisha Pala. Tin means three, Paisha means paise, and Pala means a drama. Threepenny Opera. So the point is that the Vedic culture always is teaching us to become Krishna conscious. And through Krishna conscious, everything ends in a most perfect way, in a most happy way. Like we can see, like all the pastimes of the Lord, he goes through so many difficulties, but at the end, he is victorious. Okay, so so let's go back to Krishna's pastimes. And Krishna went to Hastinapur to meet them, and that's the time he went and met the Pandavas. And there was a person, there was a person called Shatadhanya. And Satadhanya, King Satrajit actually promised to Satadhanya that he would offer Satyabhama in marriage to Satadhanya. But what did Satrajit do? He offered Satyabhama to Krishna. So Satadhanya became very upset. So when Krishna left for Hastinapur, he was not there in Dwarka. Satadhanya approached Akrura and Kritavarma and said, look, this is what Satrajit has done. Like he promised that he would offer his daughter to me, and he totally disregarded that promise and offered his daughter to Krishna. I'm going to kill Satrajit and take revenge and free him from his sinful act. So Akrura said, look, you may try to kill Satrajit now, Satyabhama's father. You may kill him now, and thinking that now Krishna is not here. But eventually when Krishna comes back and he finds out, then he's going to kill you. So Satadhanya said, no, if you and Kritavarma are in my side, then I don't worry about that. Krishna won't be able to do anything to me. So in this way, although Akrura advised him not to do that, but Satadhanya went ahead. One night when Satrajit was asleep, he went to kill Satrajit. Satyabhama was there. Satyabhama came and tried to stop him, but she couldn't. He severed his head from his body and took the Samantaka jewel and left. And then Satyabhama, completely devastated, she just went to Hastinapur and told Krishna what happened. Krishna became furious and he immediately came. So when they heard that Krishna is coming, then Satadhanya ran away. He went to Mithila. And while going, he gave the Samantak jewel to Akrura to keep. And Kritavarma also ran away. And Akrura, he thought, now if Krishna comes and finds that the Samantaka jewel is with me, then he is going to come and kill me. So he also ran away. He went to Kashi. So when Krishna came back, he found out that Satadhanya killed his father-in-law, and so he gave him a chase. And Satadhanya's chariot, the horses became so exhausted that they couldn't go anymore. So they collapsed. Satadhanya then came out, jumped out of the chariot. So when he jumped out of the chariot, Krishna also jumped out of the chariot, his chariot. and chased him, ran after him. They caught him and Krishna killed him, severed his head with his sword. So this is how Samantaka, but then Krishna couldn't find Samantaka jewel with him. But Satyabhama said, I saw him taking the jewel. It must be somewhere. So then Krishna started to wonder where the jewel is. Satyabhama also blamed Krishna that you probably took the jewel and gave it to Rukmini. There is some transcendental rivalry between Satyabhama and Rukmini. Anyway, Krishna was quiet. He didn't say anything. He became very grave. And now something happened. Krishna's minister told him that long time ago, in the province of... Okay, in the meantime, what actually happened, there was a terrible drought. There was no rain. And all the water bodies became dry. So Dwarka was in a very difficult situation, difficult state. And Krishna started to wonder why there is such a drought. And then his old minister told him that once upon a time there was a drought in the province of Benares. And the king of Kashi, king of Benares, performed many sacrifices and performed great spiritual activities, but still there was no rain. But then his minister told him that in the Jadu family, in the Jadu dynasty, there is one very pious person. His name is Shafalka. And you can bring Shafalka, and due to his presence there may be rain. So Kashiraj brought Shafalka to Kashi. And then in no time it started to rain. And the whole place became filled with water. The all water bodies became filled, and the vegetation started to become lush again, and started to grow grains and fruits. And the whole place became very auspicious, very opulent. So the king became so indebted, he felt so indebted to Shafalka that he offered his daughter Gandhini. And so that is how Shafalka got married to Gandhini, and Shafalka and Gandhini's son was Akrura. So the minister then pointed out that recently there was a drought in Kashi also. But then I just got to know that again it started to rain there in a very timely manner. So I suspect that Akrura has gone to Kashi, Benares, out of your fear of you. So then Krishna sent a message. He said, immediately send a message to wherever Akrura is, that he should come back and there is nothing to worry about. So then, upon receiving that news or assurance, Akrura came back from Kashi. So that is how, and he gave the Shamantaka jewel to Krishna. Then Krishna gave that Shamantaka jewel to Satyabhama, telling her, don't become unnecessarily envious. What's the problem with you? And I know women have that nature, but try to be properly thoughtful and composed. What did Krishna do? Why did Krishna went to Hastinapur? Let us get into that. One day when Krishna was in the assembly, Sudharma assembly, this Sudharma assembly was brought by Indra. When Krishna transported his capital to Dwarka, then Indra brought Sudharma assembly, a beautiful assembly hall, and established it in Dwarka for Krishna's pleasure, where Ugrasen ruled as the king. So, one day Krishna was in the assembly, then all of a sudden one messenger came, and he declared that he is coming on behalf of 20,800 kings that have been imprisoned by Jarasandha. And he read out their appeal to Krishna that you have come to annihilate the demons, and this demon has kept us in prison, and he is waiting for a few more kings to catch, and then he would offer us in sacrifice to Kala Bhairav, one form of Lord Mahadev. And there is no one in this world who can actually defeat Jarasandha and rescue us. But please rescue us and save us from this miserable condition, because you are the only one who can do that. So Krishna heard about that, and he seriously started to consider that this Jarasandha is really a problem, and he's thinking of offering these kings in sacrifice, Naravali, like people, those who offer a human sacrifice, they just offer one or two, but he is actually going to offer. Already he has 20,800 kings in his prison, and he is going to sacrifice with few more to reach the actual number. So at that time, Narad Muni came, and Narad Muni brought a message to Krishna that Yudhishthira Maharaj is planning to conduct a Rajasuya Yajna, Rajasuya sacrifice, and he wanted Krishna's help in that. So at that time, Krishna called Uddhav and told Uddhav, from one side the kings are actually requesting me to rescue them, and Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking me to go there to help him in his Rajasuya Yajna, so tell me what I should do. Then Uddhav said, you can actually catch two birds with one net. You can, you can serve two purposes with one act. The general English expression is to kill two birds with one stone. So since we are non-violent and we don't want to kill birds, we don't like to use that expression. And so Krishna, the Uddhav told Krishna that the way what to do is, Yudhishthira Maharaj wants to perform Rajasuya Yajna. In order to perform Rajasuya Yajna, he has to bring all the kings of this world under his control. He has to subdue all the kings. But Jarasandha, he is not going to agree. And Jarasandha is extremely powerful. So Jarasandha will be the biggest impediment in Yudhishthira Maharaj's performing the Rajasuya Yajna. So the best thing to do is kill Jarasandha for the sake of Yudhishthira Maharaj successfully performing the Rajasuya Yajna. Krishna liked the idea, and he went to Hastinapur. Indraprastha, the Pandavas' capital, and so Yudhishthira Maharaj told him what he wanted to do, and Krishna gave his approval. But at the same time, he also told that, look, we have to kill Jarasandha. So Yudhishthira Maharaj asked how to do that, how to kill Jarasandha. He is extremely powerful. And Krishna said, in a direct battle, you won't be able to defeat Jarasandha. The only way you can defeat Jarasandha is in a one-to-one fight. And Bhima is the one who can equal him in that fight. So now Yudhishthira Maharaj asked how to convince him to get into one-to-one fight. Then Krishna said, yes, we have to make a plan about that. Jarasandha is very generous. Now this is also another paradoxical aspect. In a way, he is a demon, but he is so virtuous, so pious. He gives in charity to a Brahman whatever he wants. Whatever a Brahman would want, Jarasandha would give him. And so Krishna said, so let us go to Jarasandha as Brahmanas, disguised as Brahmanas, and ask Jarasandha for something in charity. So Jarasandha will agree to give us whatever we wanted. And at that time, we will ask him to give Bhima a fight. So this is how we are going to get Jarasandha to come to a one-to-one battle. So due to Krishna's advice, Bhima, Arjuna and Krishna, three of them, in disguise as Brahmanas, approached Jarasandha. They didn't enter into the palace from the front gate. They came from the back gate, back door. And so they came to Jarasandha and told Jarasandha that they are Brahmanas. And so Jarasandha asked them, he greeted them and he asked what he could do for them. So Krishna said, I would like to speak to you in private. So Jarasandha said, I'll be in the assembly till 12 o'clock, and so after that, I'll meet you. So at 12 o'clock, Jarasandha and Krishna, Arjuna and Bhima met. So Krishna said that this brother of mine, pointing to Bhim, is very fond of wrestling. And he heard, and he said that this brother is undefeated in wrestling. Nobody could defeat him. But he has been told, he heard, that you are a champion wrestler. So he has a desire. He wants to fight with you. So please give that to us in charity. Then Jarasandha said, although you're dressed like Brahmanas, you're not Brahmanas. Because from your physical shape, from seeing the marks in your body of carrying the bows, I could make out that you are not Brahmanas, you are Kshatriyas. And also, since you came from the back door, I could make out that you are not my friends, you are my enemies. Because friends always come from the front gate. It's only the enemies who enter through the back gate, back door. Tell me who you are. So, then Krishna revealed his identity. I am Krishna, this was Arjuna, this was Bhim, the two of the 5 Pandavas. And yes, we didn't come here as a friend. We have come here as your enemy. We have come here to kill you. So anyway, you can, since you agreed, like we are also offering you the option to select who you want to fight with. You can select any one of us to fight with. Jarasandha said, fine, but Krishna, I won't fight with you. You're a coward. You ran away from the battlefield. So to fight with you will be a disgrace. Arjuna, he may be a great archer, but in physical strength, he is no match. So I'll select Bhima. So they went out of the city and they started to fight. For 21 days continuously they fought. No one could actually defeat the other. And then Krishna saw that Bhima's strength actually is waning, weakening. Bhima is becoming weak. So then Krishna took a blade of grass and he split it into half in the middle. Bhima got the message. So he immediately pressed Jarasandha's leg with one foot, with his feet, and with his other hands, with his hands he held the other leg, and he pulled. And as a result, Jarasandha's body split into half. And that is how Jarasandha was killed. Jarasandha has a history also. Jarasandha's father, the king of Magad, did not have a son. So he was very, very unhappy. So he would approach all the saintly people and beg for their mercy so that he could get a son. So once he got to know that at the outskirt of the city, a great saintly personality has come. So Jarasandha, Jarasandha's father, upon hearing that, he went to see that saintly person, and he served him very nicely. And then the saintly person asked him, "What do you want? If you want something, tell me." And so he told him that he doesn't have any son, and he was begging him if he would bless him to have a son, because the blessings of a saintly personality is very, very effective and powerful. So then the Brahmana said, "Fine, you'll get a son." And at that time, one mango just fell on his lap. So he gave that mango to the king. He said, "Give it to your king and give it to queen, and your queen will have a child." Now Jarasandha's father had 2 wives, and he was equally disposed to them, both of them. So he couldn't figure out which queen to give it to, this fruit. So he decided to cut the fruit in half and give 1/2 to each. In due course of time, the queens gave birth to 2 children. Gave birth to 2 bodies that were half. Seeing the disgusting sight, the king said, "Throw away that half complete flesh." And so that body of the newborn child was discarded. So at night, one Rakshashi called Jara came across that discarded baby body. And she was very happy to see some tender little flesh for her dinner. So she picked up, and just she happened to bring these 2 halves together. And as soon as he did that, the baby came to life, started to cry. So Jara was quite surprised, and he knew that the king didn't have a son, so he wanted to give it to the king. So he went to the palace of the king and gave this newborn child to the king. The king could immediately recognize that it was actually the 2 halves that his 2 wives gave birth to. And because Jara brought them to life, he was given the name Jarasandha, that one who had been combined by Jara. So this is how Jarasandha was born. And because he was born in this way, the only way he could die was if his body was split into half from the middle. So that's why Krishna told him to kill him in that way, because that's the only way he could be killed. And so Krishna just killed Jarasandha. And after killing Jarasandha, Krishna rescued all those kings, 20,800 kings in captivity. So Krishna released them. Although they were kings and princes, but they were, because of such long captivity, they all were emaciated, and their dresses were just worn out rugs, worn out rags, and so they didn't have proper food to eat for a long time. So Krishna then got them to bathe and get dressed properly, eat food, and then he sent them back to their respective kingdoms as the kings. So that is how Jarasandha was killed, and it was possible for Yudhishthir Maharaj to perform the yajna. So I'm feeling a little tired. What should I do? Maybe what you can do at this point, we can invite some questions. Maybe that'll help me to wake up and then I can continue after that. Any question? Yes.
You mentioned by hearing the Krishna Katha, it removes all unearths from our heart. But practically I see it is not really possible to remove all unearths from our heart. How can I do this? And other things,
Okay, first let me answer the first question. Okay, in order to answer this question, I'll tell you a story. In this place, there was a very famous king. His name was King Vikramaditya. How many of you heard his name? Good. So, Vikramaditya had 9 gems, 9 jewels in his court, called Navaratna. Nava means 9, Ratna means gems, jewels. So one day, one goldsmith came to king's palace, king's court, and he produced 3 gold figures and said that the king, can you please determine the price of these 3 figures? The king saw the weight-wise is the same amount of gold. It looks the same, perfect. Everything is absolutely ditto. The king asked the ministers, can you please check also? And they also said they look exactly the same weight, so the price should be the same. So then the king still had some doubt. If it's all the same, and then why this man would come to me and ask? So the king asked Kalidas. So Kalidas, can you determine the price, the difference of these 3 models, and accordingly evaluate them? And Kalidas says, okay. So he took a copper wire and he passed the wire through one ear of that figurine, and it came out through the other one. So he said, this one, just about 1,000 rupees. Then he passed the other one, the wire through the other ear, and this one went through one ear, but it didn't go through. So this one costs about 10,000. And the third one, the wire went from the ear to the heart. And said, this one is priceless. No amount of money can determine the price. So the king asked, why is that? He said, the first one is a person who hears from one ear and it goes out from the other. So he doesn't have any value. The other one who hears and keeps it within him, he is more valuable. And the third one, his thing goes, he's from his ears to the heart. And that kind of person is priceless. So although I gave the answer through this story, do you get the meaning? Do you get the message? You said you're hearing, but nothing is happening. So when you hear nothing happens, then we have to understand it goes through one ear and comes out through the other ear. But those who hears it and keeps it there, he will get some effect. But the one who takes whatever he hears to his heart, he will get the maximum benefit. So now you decide in which category you fall. Okay?
What can I do so that it remains in my heart?
It remains in your heart. Then you're priceless. When it goes to your heart will tell you how to act. Yes, give him the mic. Yeah, go ahead. It's working.
You told that sometimes Radharani and gopis, they are transcendentally envious, and they have transcendental anger, and they have transcendental. So, what is exactly and how you can distinguish that is transcendental and in our spiritual life it is? If you are envious of devotees, if you are angry upon devotees, is it transcendental?
Yeah, with them, it is all for Krishna's pleasure. That's why it's transcendental. Through this, that conflict among themselves is actually to kind of display who loves Krishna more. So it's kind of because it's all for Krishna's pleasure, that's why it's transcendental. Now when you become envious, you have to consider whether it's for Krishna's pleasure or for your pleasure. If it is for your pleasure, then it's mundane. If it's for Krishna's pleasure, then it's transcendental. Okay? Okay, there are some questions from the internet. Okay, there are some questions from here. Anyway, This is from Srimati Radhika, Hyderabad. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances at your divine, merciful lotus feet. All glories to your holiness, Guru Maharaj. Question, is reading equal to hearing? How to balance the two in a busy schedule? Reading also is hearing, but it depends how intensely that is done. Like just as hearing also can, as I mentioned, can enter through one ear and come out from the other. Similarly, the reading also can be just casual reading, not really getting into it, focusing into it. So that reading is not proper hearing. But when you are completely absorbed in that reading, then you are actually hearing the author. So reading in that way is hearing. Next question is from Arti. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Dear Maharaj, question 1. There are few beliefs, myths about dreams, such as if you see clock, your death is near. If you see your close friend or relative dying, they will live longer. What do these kind of dreams signify? Can you please share your thoughts on this matter? Okay, the point is what I mentioned, that when your mind becomes obsessed with Krishna, then you won't have this kind of dreams. You'll simply dream about Krishna. And in your dream you'll associate with Krishna. So better to cultivate that. And there may be some, I don't know how correct they are. Well, at least so far I haven't seen a clock in my dream. Next question. When Krishna was there in Dwarka, why would the nature function properly and cause drought? Function improperly rather and cause drought. Could Krishna himself not solve the problem? As I said, like the Lord performs his pastimes in this way, just to, make some points, and like as I was saying yesterday, like devotees go through difficulties. But those difficulties are actually to enhance their dependence upon Krishna. And by just performing one act, often Krishna performs serves many purposes. Like one hand, this kind of drought or this kind of difficulties can increase their dependence upon Krishna. Here also, this kind of difficulty enabled also to see the wonderful pious nature of Akrura, things like that, like unless it was painted in that way, unless it was not enacted in that way, then these couldn't have happened, right? Unless Arjuna and Pandavas were not put through that difficulty, if Duryodhana treated them nicely, Battle of Kurukshetra wouldn't have taken place. So that is how Krishna always makes these arrangements, apparently difficult situations, to ultimately make some appropriate demonstration of his mercy. Alaka Radhika Devi Dasi. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. This is referring to yesterday's class where you had a talk with a scientist. You had asked him if it was possible to manufacture a molecule of methane gas or sugar in a laboratory. What did the scientist have to say in response to that? He didn't have to say, he couldn't say anything. He had to admit. And my point was established. I mean, what I was telling him, I don't know up to what extent he would accept it, but at least he did not protest. And I think he actually told me one thing. He did tell me one thing. He said, methane gas they have produced in the laboratory. But it would be so expensive. That was the use. But I also don't know whether they have, so far I haven't heard any claim that they have created methane gas in the laboratory. They can create methane gas, how they can create. They can break a more complex structure and come to methane as a byproduct, but not combining carbon with hydrogen and make methane. Right? And that is the point that I was trying to make, like, you're claiming that you'll create life. Not only life, you'll create human beings. Right? And the point is, you can't even create a grain of rice. You can't even combine carbon and hydrogen and make a molecule of methane gas. And you're claiming you'll create life. You can't create something that is the byproduct of living things. What to speak of creating life? Got my point? At least you got my point. And you're a better scientist than them. Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is from by Shravaniya Devidasi. Jajati had cursed that no Jadu can become king. Was Lord Krishna coronated as king of Dwarka, and why not Balaram as he was elder? No, neither Krishna nor Balaram became coronated. Right? They were the prince. They were not the kings. Right? Ugrasen was the king of Dwarka. Kirti Kumari, as usual, a long question. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, etc. If I understood correctly, the subtle body is traveling with the soul. The subtle body has to become transformed, in simple words, into a Krishna conscious subtle body. So when that has happened fully, does that mean that the covering of the soul is removed? And if so, and one is still inside his gross body, what then is the effect of this on the gross body? Does this also transform? Very nice question, as usual, of Kirti Kumari. So, very nice question. So the question is that, as I mentioned, that the subtle body goes with the soul after death. Now, it is actually, to be more precise, the subtle body carries the soul to the next body. Okay? And as you said, that when the subtle body is, you mentioned here, that transformed into Krishna conscious subtle body. You know what is Krishna conscious subtle body? Krishna conscious subtle body means no subtle body. Krishna conscious subtle body means pure spiritual soul, pure spirit soul. You get it? Okay, now let me explain. Man mana bhava. When you constantly think of Krishna, Is that mind then material or spiritual? So, see, the mind has become spiritualized.
It's a spiritual mind?
Well, you can say the mind, mind means consciousness flow, the flow of consciousness. That is spiritual. Spiritual flow. No mind. Mind has been dissolved. You got my point? By constant thinking of Krishna, mind is now not there anymore. Material mind is not there anymore. Mind is dissolved. Then, intelligence, dadami buddhi yogam tam. Yes, intelligence is spiritualized. And in this way, when one becomes a servant of Krishna, what happens to his false ego? Jiver sarup hai, Krishna nitya das. So where is the mind, intelligence and false ego? They're gone. And what is there? Pure spirit soul. Right? And as you asked, what happens to that subtle body after one dies? It is actually the pure spirit soul in an apparently gross material body. The gross body remains the same, but inside there is this pure spirit soul. And that state is called Swarup Siddhi. Swarup Siddhi. The perfection of one's spiritual identity. Swarup Siddhi. It is also called the state of Jivan Mukta state. Jivan Mukta. Although he is alive, but although he is here, he is liberated. And then when time comes for him to leave the gross body, then the pure spirit soul goes back to the spiritual sky. So this is how the spiritual perfection is achieved by practicing Krishna consciousness. And the root of it is manmana bhava. Think of me with your mind. Okay. Then there's another question. Soul is part and parcel of Krishna, meant to serve the whole Krishna. Yet, when the soul comes across Krishna's inferior material energy, it immediately wants to control her. How can the tendency to control and the inherent quality of the soul to serve Krishna coexist? Good question again. Soul is part and parcel of Krishna, meant to serve the whole Krishna. Yet when the soul comes across Krishna's inferior energy, there lies the point. When does a soul comes across Krishna's inferior energy? When? Well, yes, or as it has been described by Jagadananda Pandit, one of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates, in a book called Prema Vivarta. He is saying, Krishna bohirmukh hoiya bhogobancha kore nikotastha maya tare japotiya dhare. Krishna bohirmukh. Mukh means face. Bohirmukh means away from Krishna. When one turns his face away from Krishna, then what is next to Krishna? Krishna's external energy. When you turn your face away from Krishna, what are you going to see? Krishna's external energy. That is Maya. Maya immediately grabs him. Japotiya dhare. So, that is the thing, like when one turns his face away from Krishna, he immediately falls into Maya. And Maya means forgetfulness of Krishna. Maya means being affected by Krishna's illusory energy. Illusory energy means it makes you forget your actual identity. As you are saying, living entity is a servant of Krishna. Yes, but now he is not anymore. He is not a servant of Krishna anymore. He has become the Lord and Master of the whole universe. Right? So that is what happens. The moment a living entity turns his face away from Krishna. Bhaktadas. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you very much for such a wonderful class. My question is that, as you said, by absorbing our mind in Krishna Katha, our subtle body is spiritualized. So, do the subtle body ends at the time of death, or it is spiritualized when someone goes back to Godhead, your servant? Just the answer that I gave, did you get the answer to your question? So that is the answer. Subtle body, through the practice of Krishna consciousness, subtle body dissolves. Subtle body never dies. Subtle body is transformed. Right? Ishwarya, or is it Aishwarya? Ishwarya. Okay. A is missing. Okay. Okay, Ishwarya. Okay, fine. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Guru Maharaj and all glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. The question, since we are discussing about dreams, just that in my case, when I hear about Krishna Katha or engage myself in Krishna's service, I do not get any dreams. What does this say about the state of the subtle body of such a person? Very good. That means when you are hearing Krishna Katha, your mind is not at all interested in material things. And that's why no material dreams. Dreaming means there is no absorption of the subtle body in the material direction. Very good. This one is Shamal Kishore Das from California. Shamal is in California now. I'm happy to know that you're in California now, Shamal. And the question is, Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. You described how Sanskrit dramas always end on a positive note, and on the other hand, the medieval European dramas have a sad ending. But Lord's pastimes as Ram or Krishna seem to be ending on a sad, unhappy note, at least from a material perspective. Lord Rama had to banish Mother Sita, and later, before leaving the planet, even his loyal brother Lakshman. In Lord Krishna's pastime, just before he left, the Jadus killed each other barbarically, and then he left and Kali Yuga began. How do we understand these pastimes? Are they being pastimes of Lord himself, different from conventional Sanskrit dramas, or there is a positive ending which I might be overlooking? Very good question, Shamal Kishore. You see, the Lord's pastimes are the Lord's pastimes. Like, he comes here and then he leaves. And you can say that his departure is the sad aspect. But he has to depart at some point. Now, the way he departs has two different types of effects on the minds on the people in general. The non-devotees become excited. and say, the envious people, they say, oh, see, now he is dead. But the way he withdraws his pastimes, the devotees get enlivened. See how wonderful the Lord is. He withdrew his pastimes in this way. For example, apparently Krishna's pastimes ended by being shot by a ordinary hunter. Now Krishna in the battlefield was struck by the bows and by the arrows of valiant warriors like Bhishma, Karna, Drona. Not one. Hundreds of arrows struck Krishna, but nothing happened to Krishna. Now that Krishna left his body when a hunter hit his foot. Did you hear anybody dying because there was a pinprick in his foot? So this hunter's arrow was like a pinprick to Krishna, but Krishna withdrew his pastimes in that way. Now how the devotees will see? See, the Lord left in such a way. But the non-devotees will see, Krishna got killed by a hunter. That's one aspect, but it's not that the only aspect, The demigods and other denizens of upper planetary systems, how did they see Krishna leaving the planet? Krishna is going back to the spiritual sky. So, there is no question of Krishna dying. We have to understand who Krishna is. But generally in a drama, the point I was making, in a Sanskrit drama, they would not show it as an end like that. Like they may depict Sita's banishment, but that they won't end it there. They won't end in the banishment. They will end at Sita's return with love and kush. That's the point. Radha Pyari Dasi. Why Akrura, being a devotee, took part in the plan of killing Satyajit? No, Akrura did not take part. Akrura actually advised Shatadhanna, don't do that, because if you do that, then Krishna will kill you. So he did not take part. When he went to kill him, he went there alone.
He did not take part directly, but he knew that he was going to kill him, and then he took the jewel with him and then to Kashi. So
No, he did not. You see, Satadhanna left the jewel with him and ran away. So he couldn't just throw the jewel in the dustbin. Right? So he kept it. But then he considered that if Krishna finds out that I have the jewel, then he would think that I was an accomplice to that drama, and that's why he kind of ran away. In this way, these are the pastimes of the Lord. The next question is, in Vrindavan pastimes, Radharani is more important than Chandravali. But it looks like in Dwarka pastimes, Rukmini is more important than Satyabhama. Is it so? Yes. Yeah, because there are two different situations. In Vrindavan, emotion prevails. And in Dwarka, intelligence prevails. Right? So that's why emotion, say in Vrindavan, emotion is prevalent and intelligence is in the background. Whereas in Dwarka, intelligence is prevalent and emotion is in the background. Right? Because it's a royal palace, You have to kind of deal with so many individuals, so many opponents, so many rivals. Nimai Sundar. Okay. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Guru Maharaj. All glories to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Krishna Katha is all auspicious and chances and cleanses the heart completely, and as a result purifies the heart. But a person who is not humble and also slave of his senses, for him it is just like feeding milk to a snake, and by doing it he becomes more and more envious and degraded. So, what else is more required along with Krishna Katha? Good question. So what is needed is Krishna, as you're pointing out, that Krishna Katha is the means, but it's not everything. There is some other factors are needed. And that is Trinadopi Sunichena, Taroriva Shahishnuna, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. So, the heart has to become nirmatsar, free from envy. Free from envy means lust, greed, illusion, pride have already been removed. So that means the heart now has become completely pure, completely cleansed. So in that pure heart only, Vedang Vastava Matra Vastu, one can understand the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You get the point? That is the prerequisite. Yes, Krishna Katha will do it, but the field has to be prepared as well. And then next is, who is the proper recipient to hear Krishna Katha, and how to cultivate those qualities which makes you enable to appreciate it in true sense. Again, it is the proper recipient is one who has whose heart has become cleansed, and the preliminary requirement for that is tadviddhi pranipatena pariprashnena srivaya. And then only that upadekshanti, the Krishna Katha that is coming in the form of upadekshanti, is going to be effective. Jagat Jivan, how a person should hear, or what qualification person should have. So hearing goes into heart. I just answered the question, you got it. This one, no name. My humble obeisance, my question is, okay, that's the end, huh? Arnyana. Guru Maharaj had mentioned in the previous class that scientists cannot even create a grain. I was wondering, now due to present scientific innovations, test tube babies are being created. So, is that not creating a human being? Please explain. Okay, whose question it is? Huh? Oh, that's your question. You have a beautiful handwriting. That's your question? Very good. Okay, very nice question. You know how test tube babies are made? How? The babies are actually taken from the father and mother and put in the test tube. Right? It is something like, an example can be given. Do you know the process of grafting of a tree? You see, you cut a branch of the tree and put it on the ground and the tree becomes alive. Now does it mean the person who did it, he created the tree? Did he create the tree? He took the branch from the tree and he planted it in the ground and that branch became a tree. Similarly, test tube baby is like that. The baby is taken from the mother and put in the test tube. Right? The baby actually came from the mother, not from the test tube. Okay, you see the difference? You have a question also? The little one? Kamala Rai? Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for this arrangement in the form of retreat. My question is, ninth offense is instruct faithless person is making offense. Ninth offense is to instruct a faithless person is making offense. Then how can we preach country like in Korea? They know nothing about Krishna. Is it cause an offense? So as I also mentioned, that for the sake of preaching, we dare to make that offense. For the sake of preaching. Okay? Not about Krishna Das. Okay. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Yesterday you mentioned that Dibbo Gyan Hriday Prakashita and Cheto Darpana Marjanam. But we have to apply our mind when we study Prabhupada's books, listen to your lectures. When we mention any situation, we remember a verse from Gita or Bhagavatam due to application of our mind. So how it is said that spiritual knowledge is there in the heart, not in the mind. Okay. So this is the practicing stage, that when the knowledge is acquired, but ultimately the knowledge will be revealed in the heart. Ultimately. It's something like, before you go to America, right, you may read in your geography about America. You may see America in the globe or in your atlas. You may hear about America, you may see TVs about American movies. But going to America, isn't it going to be a completely different experience? Right? So this is like that. Reading about Krishna and spiritual world and etc. is like, experiencing in a artificial way. But when you go there, then it is a practical experience. Reading the scriptures is important, yes. Just like before going to America, you read about America. And then you develop your interest about America. Then you say, I must go to America, no matter how much it costs. Right? Or whatever it takes. Right? Ram Govinda Das. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble. As you described that after preaching devotional service, after practicing devotional service, continuously one gets situated in a Sarup Siddhi platform. My question is that how can one recognize that now he has reached the Sarup Siddhi platform? Can others also detect such devotees' advancement? Yeah, the others can detect, but the devotee himself, he doesn't try to detect. He thinks that I am totally insignificant. I am more humble than a blade of grass. I am more fallen than the most fallen person. That's how he sees. The more one makes spiritual advancement, more humble he feels. Okay, bring it. So last question. This is from Vrindavan Leela Dasi from Los Angeles. It's midnight there. Thank you, Vrindavan Leela, for staying up so late. My obeisances to you, Maharaj. Question: I heard a devotee say that if we worship the deities of Rukmini Dwarkadhish, we'd go to Dwarka after leaving the body and not Golok Vrindavan. Is that true? Thank you, Maharaj, your servant, Vrindavan Leela Dasi. No, it's not true, Vrindavan Leela. Actually, Prabhupada pointed out that the worshipping of Radha Krishna in the temple is in Vaikuntha mood. So it's a worship of Lakshmi Narayan. So Rukmini Dwarkadhish worship is done in the mood of Vaikuntha, mood of opulence and grandeur, recognizing him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when the way we are practicing our devotional service is to develop our love for Krishna, Radha Krishna. And when you develop that loving relationship with Radha Krishna, then you will see Rukmini Dwarkadhish as Radha Krishna, not as Rukmini Dwarkadhish. And that way you will be transported to Vrindavan. Just as when you are worshipping the deities in the temple, Radha Krishna, then you are actually worshipping them as Lakshmi Narayan. So just as Lakshmi Narayan, due to your pure devotion, due to your spontaneous love for Krishna, is transformed into Radha Krishna, you will be elevated to, you will be transported to Golok Vrindavan. So those who say things like that, they do not have proper understanding. They have half-baked understanding. Thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.